Hello YouTube, Matthew Williams here. Just bringing a quick video to answer something which Sonia has asked, and I thought, well, it'd be more fun to kind of do it in a video rather than sort of typing it out. But anyway, well, she basically asked the question: do we prefer to stand when we pee or sit down? And I've got to say, you know, when you think about it, I think realistically, if you're a bloke, most blokes are quite used to handling their cocks standing up for having a pee, and it's very quick to just quickly flop out your cock and have a piss, much quicker than actually undoing your trousers, unzipping your trousers, pulling your trousers down. Of course, when you pull your trousers down, you've got to look at the ground to make sure that it's not wet, that there's no dirt on the floor, because when you pull your trousers down, sometimes if it's dirty down there and your trousers sort of flop a little bit past your shoes, then you're going to end up with somebody else's piss or shit on your trousers. So you've got to be very careful about how you do that. So all that's a pain in the arse. And then you've got to, you know, you've got to pull your trousers down, you've got to pull your pants down. It's a real involved type of sorry, I could sneeze. Sneeze like a fucking cat. There you go. So yeah, you know, you want to avoid dirt that's on the floor. And then, of course, before you sit down on any toilet seat, ever, you have to make sure that the toilet seat hasn't got splashes, which means you've got to kind of move around to see if there's any reflections of any light in any piss little drops that are on the seat. So you're kind of like mooching around, you know, trying to get the reflections. And if you know there's water on there, you're obviously going to clean it. But even if you don't know there's water on there, you're going to clean it anyway. And the reason for that is because some water is in patches that are so big and so wide that they could be covering the whole area of the toilet, so you can't take a chance. So, you know, if you're going to sit down, it inevitably means you've got to go and get like rolls and rolls of toilet paper, and you've got to put it on your hand because you don't want that stuff soaking through. You don't want somebody else's piss soaking through into your fingers, so you've got to clasp that, and then you've got to wipe, and you've got to feel whether there's any moisture there, and you've got to look, and then you've got to wipe, because there's no way you're going to want your arse to make contact with a seat that's got piss on it. And this is for men and women. I'm sure you're all, you know, sort of familiar with this. But when women go to the toilet, I'm sure they don't leave such a mess, because sometimes when blokes are peeing down into a toilet, they could, you know, miss a little bit and piss on the seat. And some people don't actually clean up after themselves. In fact, a lot of blokes don't clean up after themselves if they cause that sort of mess. So then, of course, you've cleaned it up, you've actually cleaned the surface, but the thought of there being somebody's piss on that seat means that you aren't going to want to sit on the seat now anyway, because your arse is going to be making contact with something that very recently had somebody's piss on it, which you've dried, but you haven't necessarily got rid of. So now you're in the situation whereby I'm going to have to be quiet. My neighbours are out there, and I don't want them hearing what I'm saying, because, I mean, they've got kids, plus also who the hell wants to hear about some bloke, you know, having problems with pissing in a toilet. It's not exactly great. I got a zit. Bastard. Now it's just a hair. Oh, fucking wish they'd fuck off. I think they're nearly gone. Wait for the door. No. Fuckers are still mooching around. Motherfuckers. Right, I heard the door. I think we're good. Anyway, right, sorry about that. But yeah, if you don't want to sort of put your arse on a seat that's been recently pissed on, even if you've cleaned it off, because the thought is still implanted in your head that there's been piss on that seat and it ain't your piss. So and you know, if you're like me, I kind of sort of think, what if that person had some sort of disease? You know, what if they had AIDS? What if they had hepatitis or chlamydia, or you know, maybe they have like something else wrong with them that's infectious, and you know, you just don't really want to make contact with that sort of stuff. So de facto, I always put toilet paper down on the bowl. Now that takes time, because you've got to reel it off, you've got to put it down, the fucking stuff doesn't stay, it floats off and falls on the floor or falls into the bowl, you know, and so you end up having to pick it up off the floor. So all of this ritual that you have to do, you know, takes time. And you know, when you can just whap your cock out, not make contact with any surfaces, immediately piss really quickly, zip yourself up and be gone, that's really good. Now in my case, I don't just put it back in, shake it off, put it back in, zip up, because I think that's kind of a bit dirty. And also, when you shake something, it's not dry, you know. So as far as I'm concerned, and hey, I don't want to tell anybody how to live their lives, but you know, if you want your underpants to be clean, not damp, and you don't want that dampness to dry and turn into a smell, then you have only one option, and this is what I normally do. Even if I'm standing up at a urinal, I'll usually have some tissue paper with me, and when nobody's looking, you know, I can basically quickly put a bit of tissue paper on the front, and I dab the end of my cock dry, and then I go to the toilet or an open cubicle, and I throw the little bit of tissue paper down the toilet. Now that's how I like to do it. I know women are quite good with this sort of thing because they dry themselves underneath, but I don't know if men are so much. Anyway, depends on whether or not you want to, you know, last the day without a change of underpants or not. Now, other things that mean it's a good idea to sort of stand up and take a piss is that if you you know, if you're sort of like me and you get panic attacks, you know, toilets sometimes, you know, are good places to hide, but standing up, if you're having a panic attack, you know, standing up next to a load of blokes, you know, and wondering about the size of your cock versus theirs, which is some sort of like irrational thing that you know, comes into your head when you're in the toilet. You know, it's like, you know, have I got a big enough cock to be pissing here? And that sort of thought will stop you being able to piss. So unless you can go into the toilets in a zen, you have to kind of like have this zen approach of, I'm going into the urinals and I'm going to have an enjoyable piss, and I'm going to feel the piss coming out of me really nicely, and I'm going to hear it, and I'm hearing lots of and you can imagine yourself like hearing sounds like that, and then you go in and you can pee straight away. It's really great, you know, you can just pee and it's wonderful. But otherwise, you could just find yourself standing there for ages and ages, you know, and people have already come in, had a pee and gone, and you're still standing there, and other people are sort of like standing there thinking, because they can hear, and they can hear that you haven't pissed, and they're probably thinking that you've got a problem with your peeing, and they would be right. The problem is you can't pee. Now this happens to everybody, it happens for various reasons, not necessarily because people are tense and have hypertension. I sometimes do, not all the time, but sometimes do. But sometimes if you've been taking drugs, you know, you can't pee very well, and you could be standing there and it can be quite embarrassing. Now in those situations, you might want to go into a cubicle and you might want to sit down, because until you can relax your stomach muscles, you can't piss. So, you know, in those situations, sitting down would be preferable. But if you have no problems and you're feeling totally cool in your brain, standing up and having a piss is a real bonus. It's not only quick, it's cleaner, You don't have to make contact with anything, but this is the thing. You can actually turn pissing into a sport, which is what probably a lot of blokes are aware of. You can actually do things whilst you piss. You can actually look down into the hole and you can decide where you want to aim. And, you know, if you want to aim, and you can see whether you hit it straight on. And, you know, being able to hit a target, bang, straight on, you know, very accurately, quickly, is actually quite a, you know, satisfying thing for a bloke. It's puerile, I know, but I'm sure a lot of people do get satisfaction from just, you know, being able to pull it out and go bang and piss exactly where they want to. But you can go one step beyond that. If there's mess, if there's some sort of like, if there's a pubic hair belonging to somebody else, you know, you can pee that and push it around with your urine stream and push it so that it goes down the hole. So you've actually cleaned the urine, the urinal, you've cleaned it up. You can go beyond this if you've got really long urinals, these long ones. Sometimes they collect piss at one end because they're not designed very well, and sometimes the piss won't flow all the way down and it's looking horrible and it's looking messy, but you can become a piss superhero because you can piss really hard and you can piss sideways at an angle, and you can actually start to flow that foamy, bubbly, you know, yellow, putrid, stinking mess. You can actually push that along, maybe up over a hump. You can push that over a hump, and it will actually make its way down to the end and clear the urinal. And you can clear mess, and sometimes people leave bits of toilet paper in there and cigarettes and things like that. And it's great fun, and there's an amazing amount of satisfaction of peeing to a target like a cigarette stub and actually firing it along out of the way and maybe down to the end where it's, you know, out of sight, out of mind. You know, these are all fascinating hobbies that people have when going into the toilet, and you can use standing up as and having a piss as a protest. You know, you can say you've gone into a place and you really don't like the management, or they've treated you badly, or the food was shit. By standing up, you can actually urinate all over the walls and all over the floor, you know, and everywhere. You can piss over the whole fucking place, knowing that it will dry and stink the place out, and they're going to have to clean it. And, you know, that's obviously a form of protest. Could be useful in police stations, in the cells, you know, or you know, many other situations. And I would never admit to having done anything like that ever in my life, honestly. And yeah. But, you know, yeah, becoming a piss superhero, you know, coming along with your cock and actually peeing something better, cleaning something up, can actually be quite useful. So, yeah, I would say that realistically there are so many more advantages and so much more entertainment and excitement out of standing up and peeing that you wouldn't really want to sit down and pee unless you had to. So, thanks very much for watching. Oh, as an addendum, this is a little addendum, I forgot, that every bloke must know what I'm talking about. It's not very well discussed in society, but you must all know this particular thing. When you go to a toilet and the bowl has got somebody else's shit stuck to the bowl, you know, and you don't know whether it was the guy that just left or it was the person before them, you just don't know. So you have to assume it could have been anybody, but you're still really pissed off. You're standing there looking at it thinking, dirty bastards, you know, they've left that behind and now I have to deal with it. So of course, you know, in many toilets they don't have a brush because they're public toilets, and if they put a brush there, somebody would probably steal it or do something with it, you know, snap it, try to stick it down the toilet, you know. So that's why they don't have them in a lot of places, unless you're in a restaurant or somewhere a bit more up class, up market, that might have those things. So there you are, you're standing there, you're looking down at this disgusting sight. You think to yourself, I'm not going to sit down with that in there, you know, because that's horrible. And so you have to deal with it. And what better way to deal with it than with your piss power, your superhero strength that only men, I think, know about. Maybe women do this too, I don't know, but It would be interesting if women would admit to doing this, but I know men do this routinely. But if they see something like a piece of shit or something in that toilet, maybe some toilet paper that's stuck to the sides that they don't like, what do? They use their piss power. Piss power. They piss that stuff away. And what it might even involve is rather than taking a long, fast piss, what you can do is, through experience you'll know this, is you can actually slow your piss stream down to a very, very slow stream. And what you'll do is you'll take a pee directly and target it onto that piece of clinker that's hanging there on the edge, and if it doesn't move straight away, sometimes you might just stop. You'll stop and let that soak in, let the heat and the warmth and the moisture of your urine soak into that piece of shit, and then eventually you give it 30 seconds, and then you turn the piss stream back on, you see whether any of it moves, and you give it a little bit more, you give it a little bit of warmth, you give it a little bit of love, and kind of like, is it going to go, and, generally, by that point, you've actually started to get it moving, and maybe a good hard stream of piss then against it will actually abrade it and force it off, and it'll all clean out, and you feel like a real piss superhero for cleaning that toilet with the power of your jet stream. So I just thought I'd put that on the end for your benefit, and I'm sure it's something that everybody knows, everybody's done, everybody has done this, and probably zero have ever admitted to it before. So thanks very much for watching.